One of your pet projects was the water rate study, and I think Steve Hickox mentioned that the study is about 85% completed. How does it look to you?
Well, I did participate in a kind of a kickoff meeting with the consultant that will be doing the work, and they wanted to clarify some of the issues that the council has. It's not just about dollars and cents, it's about the quality of water, it's about how we treat the water, the sources from which we receive the water. There's a lot of variables that go into a rate structure, and so I think we got that squared away as to what the underlying objectives are. Time-wise, as I recall, it's looking like a draft of the analysis will come out in September. And at that point, we'll have some choices to make. As I say, source, treatment, and then ultimately cost of the water. And it really comes down to what are people willing to pay for the quality of water they want to receive. And so there's going to be some very difficult choices to be made, and certainly want the public to be involved in that process. So September, I think, is kind of the first point of that discussion occurring formally. And so I want to make sure that the citizens stay in touch with the schedules that will be forthcoming.
Yeah, I think it's water is a big issue, and I think the people are very interested in it because they realize it's pretty expensive.
Well, and I go back to, we had 5 meetings on Monday, and the first meeting was with the Port Hueneme Water Authority, and we want to work with our partners. There are 2 partners that are outside of the city that's on the Port Hueneme Water Authority. One is the Channel Islands Beach Community Services District. That's the Silver Strand, Hollywood by the Sea area, and then the U.S. Navy at both Point Mugu and Port Hueneme. And we're all in it together, and we all share similar concerns about reliability, quality, and the source of water that's available to us now and in the future. And so we fully intend to incorporate or include those entities in our decision-making process because, again, we're better to work together for a common solution than be divided, and then it's going to cost us that much more individually.
Next was Chief Andrew Salinas gave a police report for July 2017, and he mentioned that compared to last year, the crime rate is down significantly. The main problem, let's say aggressive assaults and stuff, is way down. The main concern that causes most of the response for them are people that don't lock up their cars. And we have a lot of HOAs where people feel they're inside a gated place, but if that gate opens for 2 minutes, people can come through and they know how to check these cars really fast. And also in parking lots, shopping centers, and that is something that in August he's going to have a big project on citizen awareness of that.
Right. Yeah, it's not only are the numbers down, but as you say, violent crime and more provocative crime is down. And you would think that if our biggest issue is locking cars, we're pretty damn lucky.
Yeah.
Now, we recently had a homicide, the first this year, but comparatively speaking, look what's happening in Oxnard. I understand the dynamics are different, and some of those are perhaps gang-related. The homicide that occurred in Port Hueneme was not gang-related. So I think we ought to count our blessings. We've long enjoyed having a hometown police force that's driving these numbers down. Mm-hmm. And we're very fortunate in this city, and we continue to need to support our police department and do our fair share in reporting issues in a timely way so that our law enforcement folks can respond accordingly.
Chief Salinas is really involved, besides reducing the crime rate, one of his next big thing is community involvement. And he has two programs that I want to discuss and let people know about. And the first one is the police cadet program. And can you explain how that works?
Well, there's two. There's the cadets and there's the explorers.
Mm-hmm.
And this is really to engage our youth in law enforcement in a positive way. I kind of equate it to the Navy Junior ROTC program at Hueneme High School. A lot of those kids don't go into the military, but they come out of this school after 4 years with a value set, discipline, respect, that will carry over in their entire life, regardless of what career path that they take. And I see that kind of serving the same purpose with the explorers and the cadets, that they get exposed to discipline and a value system of respecting the law. Even though maybe a small number of them actually end up going into law enforcement as a career, the skill set that they receive and the values that they obtain in the process will pay dividends for the balance of their life.
Two things I noticed is when we did the youth fair and they were participants in that, I had a lot of, when I was talking to them, a lot of yes sir, no sirs, which
Exactly.
was really nice. And many of them said, I like going to school because I'm going to meet my friends there that are involved in this, and we have the meetings afterward and everything. So,
God, if I could get my kids to address me yes sir, no sir. But it's a little late for them to get into the Explorers program. But no, I also witnessed that when I went to the youth fair, and very impressed with this group of young people. And from what I understand, that the program is really beginning to blossom. It started out in a very small number and now has grown considerably. So kudos to
Rich and Stephen.
well, so many different people to thank, but Andrew Salinas, our chief of police, being so community-minded is an extra bonus I didn't realize we'd be receiving when he was hired.
He brought this program of the Explorers and the Cadets from Oxnard, which it was a big success there, and he started out here the first month with 6, and now they had their first graduating class and they're up to 19 students. And with what you and I witnessed, we're going to have great ambassadors for Port Hueneme as they go out, either in our community or across the country.
That's a great way to characterize it, yes.
Good, okay. And the other program, it falls right in there, but it goes to the far end of the spectrum.
Correct.
It's called HEART, which, let me read it so I don't mess it up. It's Hueneme Assist Residents Together. And we have a great, the police chief provided a great story with pictures on Port Hueneme News about this program and how it works. And basically it's to let the police know where there are vulnerable senior citizens that need to be, know if there's something wrong, or they can get in touch with the police and all of that mixed in. So have you heard anything or talked to the chief about how that's going?
No, my reaction is much like yours, is that it's a wonderful idea. There's a lot of seniors that are living alone, don't have a caregiver, and the police department wants to, check in on those individuals, make sure that they are in good health and that they have no problems. But there's another side to that. It's the community side, and that is to create again reinforce the symbiotic relationship of a hometown police force and its residents. Companionship, you could call that, but I see it as a community service, again, to reinforce this historical pride and support that we've had for our police department.
Next we had the city manager report, and he talked mainly about HDL, which is a consulting company which is going to assist the city in putting all of the cannabis ordinance and rules and regulations and stuff that has to be followed together. I think that's a great helping aid to make sure, as we talked earlier, about getting it right. What have you seen?
Well, HDL is a very well-respected largely accounting firm that assists numerous cities throughout California on traditional things such as collecting business license fees, tracking retail sales tax information, to make sure that the city is getting its fair share from the economic activities within the community. But over the recent past, they've kind of, HDL has kind of morphed its business model and have really focused now in on cannabis in particular, and become kind of the resident gurus, experts. And one of the, you didn't mention, is that one of the services they offer is to be able to make certain that the businesses that take up shop in Port Hueneme, cannabis, that again, the city receives the full benefit of their presence. So the industry today is largely cash and carry, meaning that they don't have the same kind of institutional connections with banks in how they do their deposits and withdrawals. It's a cash business. And so it's critical that we have monitoring in place and auditing measures to make certain that all sales are tracked, and that again we receive the appropriate revenue from that sales activity. So HDL will be very much helping us in negotiating various agreements with cannabis businesses that do come to Port Hueneme, looking out for the city's best interests.
It's a win-win situation for the businesses and the city that it is successful.
Absolutely. And in terms of how does HDL receive its compensation, it's by way of the fees that are included in the charges back to the cannabis industry, so the public doesn't have to bear that expense.
All right. I think the last subject I'm going to bring up, if there's anything else you can bring it up, is that Carmen Nichols, the Deputy City Manager, is overseeing a program to upgrade the video and the streaming of the City Council meetings, which are live streaming and or you can view them off the website. And they're upgrading the camera angles, the quality of the picture, the quality of the sound, and how they project it, and if there are any issues on the receiving end that they want to address. So I think for people who can't go to the City Council meetings, this is a wonderful way to look at it. If you have any questions or problems that you're in, let City Hall know, and they'll look into it. And if you don't have 3 hours, you can come to Hello Port Hueneme and watch the City Council review, and you know, just keep up on what's going on, because your involvement means the more you are involved, the better off the city will be. Do you have anything else that we missed or you want to bring up?
Well, the budget. That was probably covered the greatest amount of time. We're very close to having a budget in place. It's been continued to August 7th, which is our next regular meeting. What we covered on Monday, the 17th of July, were some key policy issues dealing with personnel, dealing with revenue opportunities, looking at is there anything further we can do in the way of cost containment. And those were critical discussion points so that our finance department can finalize a budget knowing what kind of numbers to depend upon. And so that was taken care of, and again, the next regular meeting, it's hopeful that we'll have a final budget ready for adoption.
Well, it's been a long process, and it is the first in a while, the 2-year budget, which gives you guys a better handle on it. And I've been at the meetings and seen how much detail you guys get down to try to, because it's a tight situation, what to do, what not to do. So thanks to all the City Council and the staff for the hard work they've done. Mayor, thank you for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure, anytime.
And we'll see you in 3 weeks or so. There's a 3-week break between the last meeting and the next one. So thank you for viewing the City Council review, and we'll see you at our next show.
Thank you.